Kayleigh McEnany has a take on the concept of the First Amendment and as it relates to Trump's free speech crackdown on anybody that says anything about Charlie Kirk and what he did in life before he was horrifically killed.
This is Jesse Waters and Kayleigh.
And he should know better as a grown man in show business. People are acting like, you know.
Oh, pause for a second. This is just quickly, it's about Jimmy Kimmel. That's what I meant to say.
And the First Amendment, the stuff around there.
Screaming things on the corner. This guy is at ABC. When's the last time ABC tolerated much, let alone this?
Can I just point out here that what Jimmy Kimmel said was factually accurate, that Trump was using it to point against people besides maybe a Utah-born boy. And Spencer Cox said he was praying for it to be a person from somewhere else. So, like, why do they tolerate this, a joke based on a true premise? I don't know.
It's interesting how aggressively they're trying
to also, let's be clear. He wasn't even speaking about Kirk. He was speaking, everything he was talking about was what the government was doing, what the reaction was of conservatives. It was all tangential to Kirk himself.
Yeah, it was about Trump and how he was talking about construction when asked more. And even the FT, which is my favorite paper, called them Kirk comments. But like you said, that's not about,
I guarantee
about Kirk.
Kimmel met with his writers and was like, we need to be careful with this. And
without a doubt.
Yeah, and I bet they were like never going to see this coming from that joke.
Screaming things on the corner. This guy is at ABC. When's the last time ABC tolerated much, let alone this?
Right. You know, I'm watching some of the liberal networks. I've never heard them care about the Constitution so much. Their First Amendment. This has nothing to do with the First Amendment. This has to do with the business decision, as you noted. And for all the concern about the First Amendment, I mean, they're apoplectic, Jesse. What about all the amendments that Charlie Kirk lost? Because Charlie Kirk has no amendments right now. None. And the outrage I see over Jimmy Kimmel, I wish I would have seen that for the death of a father and a husband who should.
I mean, honestly, when you think about people tragically dying, the number one thing you got to worry about is that they won't have any amendments in heaven or hell.
There's a real value in making a point so stupid that you just can't argue with it.
Right.
You know?
But they were saying the same stuff about Laken Riley and the...
What due process did she get?
What due process did she get? This is about your rights mean nothing in the face of this tragedy that we are exploiting for our very specific fascistic political ends.
Yeah.
We should say, in terms of what this has to do with the First Amendment, even if we were so stupid that we didn't know that there was a moneyed interest by the enterprise that kicked Kimmel off the network and was getting pressure from the FCC and knew that they had to go to the FCC to make sure that their deal goes through with NextGen. Even if we didn't have reporting from Rolling Stone saying that ABC executives, Disney executives, did not think that it warranted it, but they were afraid of retribution from the administration. Even if we didn't know that Donald Trump had said months ago after Colbert was kicked off air, or basically told that his show was about to end, and didn't say Jimmy Kimmel is next, we have this, Donald Trump on Air Force One yesterday. This is clip number one.
One.
Yep, here it is.
And ask Brendan Carr to weigh in on other late night hosts that you have.
Well, you know, when a late night host is on network television, there is a licensing. I'll give you an example. I read someplace that the networks were 97% against me. I get 97% negative, and yet I won, and easily. I won all 7 swing states, popular, I won everything. And if they're 97% against, they give me only bad publicity or press. I mean, they're getting a license. I would think maybe their license should be taken away. It will be up to Brendan Carr. That's something that should be talked about for licensing too. When you have a network and you have evening shows and all they do is hit Trump, that's all they do. If you go back, I guess they haven't had a conservative on in years or something, somebody said. But when you go back and you take a look, all they do is hit Trump. They're licensed. They're not allowed to do that. They're an arm of the Democrat Party.
We're in the midst.
That's also the clip of Carr that we played yesterday, showing that he was very explicit in threatening ABC over this. And then there was the reporting from Rolling Stone here that says, in the hours leading up to the decision to pull Jimmy Kimmel, two sources familiar with the matter say senior executives at ABC, its owner Disney, and affiliates convened emergency meetings to figure out how to minimize the damage. Multiple execs felt that Kimmel had not actually said anything over the line, the two sources say, but the threat of the Trump administration retaliation loomed. So they are saying it publicly and then Kayleigh McEnany is denying that government pressure played a role in this. How stupid do you think we are?
This is when we heard right-wingers complain that their First Amendment rights were being infringed upon because Target doesn't want to do this or some store doesn't want to do that, or because you're not allowed to have a pride flag or you need to wear a mask. That's not First Amendment rights. First Amendment is specifically to protect the freedom of speech from government intervention. And this is exactly what we're seeing here. This is exactly what the First Amendment, like literally, figuratively, exactly why the First Amendment exists is so that the regime or government cannot punish you for criticizing them. And he's literally out there saying, well, they're not allowed to be, negative towards me. 97%, they're not allowed to do it. We'll revoke their license. No. That is exactly why the First Amendment exists.
And you know what's funny?
You don't even need to interpret it. That's exactly what it is.
It says in the text. What's so funny is Trump is using the argument that we were talking about when it came to cancel culture. Basically saying that a private company had, or whatever it was called, cancel culture, that a powerful man or someone powerful who was sexually assaulting somebody or who was inappropriate, that these private companies have to weigh whether or not they're going to do business with that person. And that's not a First Amendment issue. That's a response by these private companies to social pressure. Trump is now saying that that's what's happening here with Jimmy Kimmel, when it's actually the thing that they were saying was censorious previously. They're always projecting and then doing what they say the left is doing. That's Trump expressly trying to limit speech with the government power. And do we have that really quick clip of those podcasters? Because it underscores the point. You had it up there. Briefly, because I just think this fits into it so well. These are like the Andrew Schultz universe guys, right?
Yeah, they're all on the flagrant whatever.
Who are all on the free speech train. And they were, for 4 years, these free speech people were talking about how basically the cancellation of maybe a comedian that you liked was this grave threat to free speech. And yet now they're coming around to maybe it actually has something to do with state control and power and authority.
This seems like a big attack on free speech. Mm-hmm. And I think we've been pretty staunchly in favor of free speech. And it is funny to watch right-wing people just become left-wing people. Because I said something about how you're a snowflake if you think you should be. If you agree with this, that's some snowflake shit. And somebody was like, you clearly don't even know what the First Amendment means. And that's exactly what left-wing people used to tell me. Yeah. Freedom of speech doesn't mean freedom from consequences. Right. So y'all have just switched. Yeah. Now, again, this has nothing to do with what happened to Charlie Kirk. That's a fucking horrendous thing. Let's get that out of the way. But in terms of censorship, freedom of speech is more under attack now, honestly, than I think it has ever been. I don't know if that's me being hyperbolic.
Maybe. I mean, as far as what Jimmy said, I think it's untrue, or at least unfair.
I don't agree with what he said. I don't like what.
I mean, I'm sorry. This is
such
stupid.
fucking so stupid. These
what
idiots.
He said was right.
First of all, no, people haven't switched. People haven't switched. There's a difference between the government doing this and private enterprise doing it. It may be censorious in the sense that a company doesn't like it. It may be censorious for us to do that, to do this video and criticize them and say, don't watch them. They're idiots. That may be censorious, but the idea of free speech in the context of law and the system is that you don't have government interfere. And then the idea that this dude, the hockey shirt dude, is like, well, it was a lie. Listen, what? What?
I know.
Now all of a sudden you're holding comedians to being 100% factual to maintain their job in the face of government intervention. Like, regardless of whether he was right or wrong, Kimmel, like, this guy's now citing that as a mechanism as to, well, how about your stupid podcast? When are they going to take Joe Rogan off the air? I mean, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Good.
I think it's untrue, or at least unfair.
I don't agree with what he said.
This is the guy in the middle is the one we suspect of being probably the biggest kirker. Is that right, Brian? Okay. Yeah.
I don't like what he said. We should also say that. I don't agree with what he said. I don't like what he said. He should be allowed to say it. And what happened to Charlie Kirk is worse. Charlie Kirk should have been allowed to say the things we didn't like. Jimmy Kimmel should be allowed to say the things we didn't like. That's just what America is.
Yeah.
And freedom of speech, I've seen it truly under attack in India, where it's like you can go to jail. This is closer to that than
deported.
I think what the left was doing.
Yeah.
Which is like the FCC putting, as much as we didn't left-wing shit.
Where did Mahmoud Khalil end up? Where was he? When he was released, where was he released from?
Detention center in Louisiana, if memory serves.
Go ahead.
FCC putting, as much as we didn't like left-wing shit, like far left policy or far left whatever thoughts, it wasn't like Joe Biden was putting pressure on somebody to get canceled for saying retard. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's what makes this different and scarier to me and closer to what India has. Then that's what makes it an actual attack on free speech to me.
Yeah.
Okay, but my guy, it's not about getting someone canceled. Trump is locking people up for their speech.
These guys are unable to see outside of their comedy.
I understand that. It's like, I mean, I guess Jimmy Kimmel is the first victim of free speech in this administration. Now that it's a comedian and a rich guy and in their industry. But like, as much as we stand with Jimmy Kimmel here, I am a little like kind of outraged that this is when people start to bang, the free speech drum here, because when it was the targeting of pro-Palestinian activists, when it was the targeting of people here who were on visas or who are contributing to our society, who are at other educational institutions, maybe from a different country, and dare to exercise their free speech, they're okay with that? What, because they're non-citizens? What, because they're opposing genocide? It's just, I know it's lazy, but you could just see how our media class deems one kind of person worthy of sympathy and other people, well, that's just the casualty of the state and the casualty of having the bravery to oppose one of the worst crimes in the history of humanity.
Remember when Dylan Mulvaney was getting all the attention from conservatives at the supposed time where they were the free speech champions and the left was the ones that were all like censorious or whatever? But also, like, we've let comedians and I would say unscrupulous writers basically colonize the idea of free speech and use it to like sell tickets or Substack subscriptions and stuff like that. And these guys literally don't even know what McCarthyism was. Like to say like this is the worst time in history. Like this is among there, but I don't think like you would at least nod to like
Yes.
the 50s, right?
Yes.
Like Bill Simmons like says a sports podcaster mentioned that, and yet we got all these guys who have been saying we're the free speech champions, we're the ones that we're on the front lines. You want me on that wall, you need me on that wall. They don't even know the first fucking thing about
And
it.
even under Biden, the guy they hated, they weren't saying anything about, say, the purging of Muslim hosts from MSNBC, like Mehdi Hassan, among others. I mean, that is on their own terms, and it's under the administration they hated. Because it's never about actual free speech. It's about, like what was just said, I get to say the R word and no one gets to criticize me. I mean, it's just so shallow. But they have become an increasingly dominant force, unfortunately, in our politics.
Hey, folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take phone calls. You should check that out.